Do you want me to talk about Harvey?
Yes.
Okay.
Please.
So Harvey, from what we've been told, used to work in our building when it was a department store in 1926 when it was built. Don't know the exact year he was here, but he had a heart attack and passed away in the building. And he's a jokester. He likes to move things around. If he doesn't like the music, he will knock the speaker off the shelf. So we keep it on very mellow, kind of jazzy type music. Frank Sinatra is one of his favorites. He's more active around the holiday season. So starting in the fall through probably about February time frame is when we see the most action from him.
In February?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So my husband was in here one day and didn't have the lights on, had everything turned off. He was working on the espresso machine. So the sun was coming in, so he had, plenty of light to see. But he kept seeing a shadow in our kitchen that was walking, like pacing back and forth, just watching him. Because we were closed that day and Jason happened to be here. But when we first opened, we blame everything weird that happens on Harvey. And we're like, Harvey, stop it. Just stop it. And usually it just stops. One of our girls lost her earbuds. And she is maybe 4'11", and they were on a shelf that she would have to be on a ladder to put them on. And it made no sense. Like they were in a cake pan, just hanging out in the back kitchen. Found them a couple weeks after she had lost them.
Oh, wow.
And then our packet of gift certificates was missing from our drawer by the register. The only thing in there, and we couldn't find them all day. And then at the end of the day, I opened the drawer and they're right in the middle of the drawer. And I'm like, Harvey, you did it again. We've had our fridge and freezer downstairs. The doors, they have that suction seal. They will randomly start like knocking, and I'll just put my hand on it and be like, Harvey, stop. And then it just stops. It never happens again. One of our girls that used to work here, she was in the back storeroom, which is by the back staircase where he fell. And she was in there doing inventory of all of our cups and lids and things. And she felt someone walk up behind her. She thought it was me, and a hand on her shoulder. And then she turned around and nobody was there. So she was like, Harvey, that's scary. Don't do that. So that was the only time that happened to her. We were told of Harvey before we opened. We got an email from a former employee that worked in our building when it was the coffee exchange. And she introduced herself and she said, please don't think I'm crazy, but you have a ghost and his name is Harvey. She told me a few stories. I can't remember exactly what she said, but one of them was they had their some piece of equipment that they had somebody working overnight trying to fix, and they ended up having to call the manager in because Harvey would not leave them alone. And so she's like, put the phone on speakerphone, and she was like, Harvey, they have to do their job. I know you don't like strangers in your building, but just let them do their job. And after that, they were able to do what they needed to do. One story she said was she came in one morning and it was dark. She was turning the lights on, and around this corner here, she saw the tip of a cowboy boot, and she got really nervous. And she's like, nobody else is supposed to be in here. It was like 5 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
And when she turned the lights on, it disappeared. So she was like, Harvey, no. The other ghost that we have, we don't have a name for him.
Okay.
It's more of a very sad, heavy feeling that you get. On our second floor, when my husband and I toured the building, the second floor they used originally as a bar. When Asheboro was during Prohibition, which lasted a really long time until 2006 or 2008. So it was kind of a speakeasy for a few years, and then it was an actual bar after Prohibition was lifted. The back corner is a mop room, and as soon as I walked in there, I just felt really uneasy and just had this really heavy, like, pressing on my chest. And I was like, I don't like like this spot, so we're going to move away from that. And I never really said anything. Of course, I said something to my husband. I was like, you can go in there because I don't want to.
Right.
But then we had somebody come in that used to work here, and she told us one fall festival, probably about 5-6 years ago, or before we opened, 5 or 6 years before we opened, they had a gentleman come through the front door, and he walked around, and he looked, and he's like, yep, this is it. This is where it happened. And she's like, what happened? And he's like, my grandfather shot himself in your building in that back corner on the second floor, on the far right corner. And she's like, okay. And then she told me that, and I was like, that's the exact same spot that it just feels really dark.
Okay.
And like, I've never been scared. It just is not a really uncomfortable feeling. So, but other than that,
Oh my gosh. Well, that's quite a lot to hear and take in. But I mean, it's really cool to hear the stories of how things could be connected to things that could possibly be spooky or,
absolutely.
I guess remnants of the past. But this is Cathrine, so I'd like to say thank you guys for those who watched. Of course, usually I tell tales of legends and folklore, and I do artwork, but I wanted to do something different this time and talk about Nannie Mae's. So could you briefly tell us about why you named this cafe?
Yeah, absolutely. So Nannie Mae was my grandmother, and that was her given name. And she was just this larger than life, sweetest person, maybe 5 foot tall, 90 pounds soaking wet, but she just loved to love people where they were. And we wanted to create a space that felt comfortable and that felt like you were in your grandma's kitchen or your favorite aunt or somebody that really felt like a safe space when you were a kid or even as an adult. And just have a place where people can just come and just breathe and just relax. Like, the world is insane enough out those doors. So to have that place where you just feel like you can just kind of let your guard down a little bit and just breathe for a second, that was our goal. And Grandma she fed people, and she loved to bake. She never measured anything, so none of the recipes are hers, unfortunately, because we tried to write down her recipes and there was no way, because she was like, oh yeah, you just a little bit more, I'm like, Grandma, I don't know what that is.
Straight from the heart.
Yes, absolutely. So my brother-in-law likes to joke me, and he says that you season until your ancestors tell you to stop. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty much, that's the same thing.
Awesome.
So yeah, that was Grandma.
Aw, awesome. Well, it's a nice cafe. I enjoyed trying the pina colada tea, and then I had, what was the
pepperoni Danish?
Pepperoni Danish. So if you're in Asheboro, North Carolina, come downtown to Nannie Mae's. Really cute place.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks so
Thank
much.
you. Yes, for sure.